Yeah, okay. Um, there was, because the media cannot help but lionize and hero worship our billionaires, the billionaire class, because we've recently seen the swift fall of Elon Musk. But boy, they're gonna, and even Warren Buffett had a moment where people realized, oh, he's CEO of one of those
The rail
railroad,
stuff.
yeah. But they're still going with the Bill Gates. He's the good one. Microsoft mogul gave $5 billion to what? To whom?
Wait,
Oh, the
who
Bill
is
and
that?
Melinda Gates Foundation to finance work in global health development policy, advocacy, and U.S. education. What
Right.
they don't talk about is that he also gave like over $300 million to different media outlets, which then give grants to young journalists who then write fawning, uh, editorials and pieces on Bill Gates and all of his good works. Somehow, this actually has been forgotten, that Bill Gates decided that the vaccine formula shouldn't be shared with the global South. And even though
Yeah.
the World Health Organization was building a platform for vaccine production in all countries, Bill Gates and his rich friends said no and replaced it with COVAX, which puts profits first. And just in case you didn't know, next after the United States, who funds the World Health Organization? It's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So his $5 billion is well spent.
I mean, I hate to take this back to Hillary shit, but I mean, it just reminds me of Hillary, not what, yeah, the Hillary Victory Fund
Oh,
Global Initiative,
the Clinton Global Initiative. Yeah.
CGI, Clinton Global Initiative. And so they became a reservoir for donations for people thinking they were helping things, and they get all this credit for like helping fight AIDS,
Yeah.
But basically, what it did is it stopped contributions to organizations that actually would have done something, and a lot of that money ended up going to their buddies who ran these groups. Like Haiti to this day hates the
Oh, they
Clintons like a
despise.
passion,
Yeah.
because there was all this money that was going to go to Haiti when they had all their
The floods. Yeah.
natural disasters, and basically they became the go-to place to donate your money to Haiti, and all that money went to like
Their
Bill
friends to
Clinton's
contract.
cousin had
Yeah.
it was just failure after failure, moldy tents for people instead of in lieu of housing, and just.
I mean, it's money laundering and it's reputation laundering, right? So like Bill Gates gets this fawning piece about how he's the biggest charitable donator of all the billionaires. And then you
Right.
find out, oh, but he's giving it to his own foundation, which he uses to influence media, to influence the World Health Organization, to shut down the distribution of vaccines or the formula being passed on, to waive the patent so that it could be produced in other places. And now they're even shutting down COVAX. And in the New York Times, they wrote it up like there just wasn't a lot of interest in it in the global South. Well, I mean, they would have had to pay for it. It came much too late. They couldn't manufacture it fast enough, like all these different things. So it is,
It's
the
a lot of
reason that
nonsense.
people need philanthropy is because of a system that has been set up by people like Bill Gates and the Warren Buffetts of the world, who use their vast sums of money to lobby for policies that get them even more money so they can, they can monopolize, they can go against unions. And then the very people they're harming, they give little handouts to and get patted on the back by their wealthy friends.
Yeah, and often those handouts, like as with the Clintons, you can point to something that both the Clintons did and Bill Gates did that cost $100 billion, and you could say, "Wow, how can you argue against that?" Well, you can argue against it in that the organization took in $5 billion, for example.
Right.
So, when you're talking the zeros at that level, like doing millions of dollars of good when you have billions,
Right.
you're harming the cause because people think they believe these narratives that you're the good billionaire and
Right.
good things are being done,
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know. Do you want to go down our list of the billionaires?
I mean, let's just shoot down it real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, what I want to point out is that billionaires are not necessarily smart. They're not necessarily geniuses. They're not necessarily anything other than they have a lot of money. And people accredit all these things to Tesla, for example, and Elon Musk as being some genius. He bought Tesla. Tesla, the electric car was already made and done with. And Tesla, he got booed here in San Francisco not that long ago.
That was awesome. Dave Chappelle brought him up on stage and he got booed because
he yelled out,
yeah,
"I'm rich, bitch." Like which
read the room, buddy.
Ooh,
yeah. He did want to remind everybody again, 12 months ago, I was person of the year. He put that out yesterday. And yes, he was. And that is because our corporate media needs to extol the virtues of the meritocracy, where you can make $1 billion if you just work hard enough. And they leave out how you actually are stealing it by exploiting your workers and ravaging the globe. Tesla illegally told workers not to discuss pay or workplace issues. The company repeatedly instructed workers to not talk about pay or complain to higher level managers. That is illegal. You're not allowed to do that.
Laid off a bunch of people right before Christmas.
This one was also really gross. He wound down remote work, ended staff allowances, and turned offices at Twitter's headquarters in San Francisco into bedrooms so that's where you had to rest. That's where you stayed. Doesn't that sound lovely?
Yeah, and I read an article about how Silicon Valley executives are praising Elon because they're like, dude, somebody has to tell workers that they can't keep fighting for their rights. They're like, they're loving those workers. They're like, the more evil he is, the better they are, because they can just come in as the lesser evil. Like, we're the tech company that, isn't such shitbags. And finally, someone's putting the workers back in their place.
And by the way, he also donates a ton of money to different media corporations, as does, of course, Jeff Bezos, who bought the Washington Post. I mean, there is a reason that they buy up these big media ventures, because then they're less likely to be called out on their despicable practices.
Well, I mean, he literally bought Twitter, which is the top place to push back on media narratives. And but the corporate class is always going to come out and defend this bastard, like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, that was really, I mean, I know he's supposed to be kind of a shitbag anyway, but that was also kind of disappointing, because sometimes he seems like he's a little bit on the sort of more open-minded progressive side. While casting shade on Elon Musk for what he's done, is doing, or will do, try to pause and remember that he made electric cars a normal thing in society, and he commercialized space for cargo, satellites, and people. I mean,
imagine cheering on commercializing space.
Amazing.
Like, that should tell you enough. If that doesn't tell you Elon's in it, well, anyone on Twitter, which is probably our audience, has seen publicly all of the debacle of him buying Twitter. Like, I love that it's on display for people every day.
Just in real time.
Just even if you believe he's making okay moves, his attitude on Twitter is so out of touch with people that it's costing billions of dollars. Like, Twitter is, he bought it for 44 billion and it's probably worth like 30. Tesla's taking a shit. Tesla is going down hard. Tesla was at almost $400 a year ago. Now it's at just 120 or something.
Yeah.
And then, but this is the big move that's going to push Tesla over the top. This truck that allegedly, and this part I don't know, but like, they're talking about how it doesn't have the normal crumple zone. It doesn't have
airbags.
It's too heavy to drive because it's a big, heavy beast.
It's just a tank.
It's going to spin out all. I mean, the arrogance. What you have with him is arrogance. It's just him pointing out to his staff, make this happen. And there's been documentaries on it. He's like, make this happen. And they come up with this truck. It's like,
oh my God,
let's do it. Let's go.
Well, and
Yeah.
remember a couple years ago there were some talk about trying to get high-speed rail in California, and that's when he came out with his Hyperloop, because what he basically wanted to do was shut that down so that and his Hyperloop was just a tunnel. I mean, like, that's been invented, my friend. But he, like, right, he wanted to shut it
But
down.
the stupidity of it, it was not just a tunnel. I mean, it was a tunnel with individual cars.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
but I
your
mean, that's
car
what we
would be in
have
a
that.
tunnel.
We have tunnels. Like, that doesn't, the difference between having high-speed rail that can have hundreds of people on it and then individual cars, which we already have, right? Just give it a cool name.
But imagine, like, your car just breaks down in the tunnel. Like, I mean,
Yeah. No, and he knew it. I mean, and his what did he call it? Hyperlink or whatever. That
Hyperloop
wasn't going anywhere, and he's admitted as much, but he just didn't want anything to make a dent in the profits he can make off of selling individual electric vehicles, right? Electric vehicles are not the solution for global warming and our climate disaster. The solution is mass transit and creating fewer individual cars. I mean, that's a solution. More walking, more public transportation, not just
Absolutely.
like better individual cars. But he just, anyway. No good billionaires. No such thing.